Yesterday, I sent it in the morning, but it said afternoon, and then I sent one today because I'm just trying to get our name plates and it had the name and it had the contact information for the photographer. You know what? Yes, ma'am. And see if you, because it should be coming from my email right here because I just wanted to try to get at the LLEWIS at Superior. Yeah, because I'm just trying to, because I sent that out to you and then so to get like the correct spelling. You got it. Okay. Good, good, good. Yeah, just trying to. You know what? Yeah, reception in here is girl, and I have to make it. And then I think my office is the worst because just because of where it's set, I usually either have to come here to get it. So when I'm in here, I usually can get really good reception. I'm sorry, my eye. I know my eyes were. It's no good because I am because I was hoping that I didn't have pink eye, but then he's like, if you don't wake up in the morning if you're lying glued together, you ain't got pink eye. And I said, okay, because this been red now. This is the third day, but it's a lot less redder today than it was on Monday. But anyway, so yeah, so back to I can get reception on this side of the building, but when or I have to go outside. But I had to, and I still didn't. I think it's the building that the reception is really bad. I just think it's the building. So yeah, All right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, sir. All right, we have a quorum, and I think this is probably going to be the quorum. So we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll do a roll call, please.
Havison, absent. Linky.
Here.
McGill, absent. Seacrest, absent. Finley, here. Schwartz,
Here.
Lewis.
Present.
Lewis Quorum.
Okay. Can I get a motion on the agenda?
So moved.
Unless I didn't speak into the mic, I'm sorry, but let's make sure we speak into the mic. It's a special meeting, we generally do. But it's up to to do so.
Support yet on the agenda.
Yeah, let's get the agenda first. We'll do the
You
pledge.
spoke out of turn.
So it was moved by Lisa.
To these people.
Is moved by Lisa to adopt the agenda.
Support.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Why don't we do the pledge of allegiance? It wasn't on here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Citizen participation. Is there any citizen who would like to address the board? Irma?
Yeah, you need one. So let's, is it on, Christina?
Good morning. Good. I recognize time is of the essence, so I will make this quick. First of all, I want to advise the board and the incoming board to unblock my emails. I am talking about my personal emails to this township. It is a violation of my civil rights. Further, I want to advise the board that they should
You were on.
Oh, I'm sorry. They should send a letter to all the residents because I have said over and over, this township has aided and abetted Morris County. He is unlicensed. He doesn't have workers' compensation. He doesn't have insurance for half of this year. In addition, addition to that, he was allowed to put his stamp this year on residents' properties that he was here. It is against the law in Michigan to put a stamp on the sidewalk flag and not have a license number. Again, he is unlicensed. In addition to that, because the board doesn't know this, about 3 weeks ago, I was sitting in my driveway and a car came up to my house real fast, stopped. I did put my recording on, but it was his workers, 4 of them, who he owes over $50,000. They cannot get their money. They quit in July. So all of this time, residents have trusted this township to vet this contractor, but we have continuously aided and abetted. The residents have a right to know what has happened and whatever kind of reparations or retribution. Thank you.
Anybody else? Brenda?
Put it up, Brenda. Thank you. Thank you. Please, people, don't touch the mic because people are turning it off.
Testing. There we go. Brenda Baker, Ashton Court. Just want to speak briefly about the Committee to Promote Superior Township. You have the monthly infographic in your packet. It was page 178 out of 316. Perhaps you've seen it. There's only one page that looks like that. And you can read it for yourself, again, in the interest of time. I wanted to put a reminder to anyone who's interested that in November and December, the committee is on our holiday schedule. So there is no third Wednesday meeting in November or December, but there is one consolidated meeting on December 4th, which will be our one meeting for November and December. And I also wanted to thank the board as many of you are departing and we're going to the next administration for authorizing us to exist and facilitating our existence and working together with us on some of the social media and other things that I believe benefit the township. And thank you for making us possible.
Anybody else like to make a comment?
Good morning. I'm Mrs. Mohammed, and I'm a resident of Superior Township. First, I just want to Finley and Trustee Linky and Trustee McGill, who are here for your competencies during the administration. I really appreciate all the help you provided and the answers you gave me to my questions and your support as I try to learn more about how township governance works. So I appreciate you. And I'm sure I'll be in touch with you in the future. My questions are about the cash and investment summary. I just want to make sure that I'm reading this correctly. The header says, and this is on page 96 of 316. The header says daily operating cash. That bottom line I'm looking at, 6.5 million, is that cash? And if that is cash, do we still not have an insured cash sweep account? So if somebody could tell me that. The other thing is on the September reconciliation, I'm looking at a number of outstanding checks of 121, a little over 121K. And I'm wondering what comprises that number, what type of checks are still outstanding and how old are the checks? Because we're coming up on year end, our fiscal year end. And I want to know how many of those checks are from previous fiscal years, if any, if there's a time frame of when those checks are written off, or what's the policy for that? Because that impacts what happens with the audit. And also, speaking of the audit, I'd like to know the status of getting new auditors, if an RFP has gone out, and also the status of a new controller. Thank you.
Anybody else? Maybe Nancy, could you, putting you on the spot, can you address the questions that,
She didn't bring a pack. She didn't bring anything in, why didn't you bring anything budget? No,
Well,
you got the budget with you and all that?
yeah, well, maybe after the meeting or something.
It's not being voted on.
Okay, so anybody else? Saying none, we'll move on to new business.
Hold on. You have some information. You need to read the citizen participation that you have, please. Or you can save one for the end, the Rhonda's. You gotta take the mic off of there since she's not there and put it on your desk. There you go. Thank you, Christina. Yes.
Dear Superior Charter Township Board of Trustees, my name is Pastor Gerald Wimberly, Senior Pastor at Prison of Belleville Church at 1601 Stanford Road. The transition is great. I would like to say, recreation program. My understanding is that we have majority part-time parks and recreation employees, which is not good due to the fact that the township is struggling to keep staff moving forward. We will also lose the staff by paying them low wages in under 35 to 40 hours per week. People need full-time, good-paying jobs to live in Washington County to bring their families. Here's the question: how do you expect to be able to put together a sustainable strategic plan for improving each year with only part-time staff earning low wages? The turnover rate, if it's not already, will increase because of this way of thinking. These children and families of Superior Township need more than part-time assistance. They need the best that we can give them with the full-time staff. Superior Township cannot afford to shortcut people, and the fact that we are a growing community, and I understand that we are in the process of building a new recreation community. But that doesn't disqualify the responsibility of the Parks and Recreation Department. You have a dedicated Parks and Recreation Director who, along with his current staff, have done some great things over the years. But in order for him to continue to grow and build a department, you have to give him the ingredients that will create a sustainable team who don't have to worry about being able to live and be able to sustain themselves financially. Take care of those who take care of our families. Thank you, Pastor Harold Wimberly, Senior Pastor at First Life Fellowship.
Rhonda's as a community.
Yeah, at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gonna read it or you want?
I'm
to
gonna
leave
let,
it?
because I gotta read my own, so Christina's, yeah.
Anybody else online? No. Okay, so we move on to the purpose of the new business. The purpose of the meeting is conduct the regular business that we were unable to conduct the other night because of a lack of quorum, and then schedule a truth and taxation hearing for December 13th, 2024. So if we could deal with B first and just schedule the meeting.
Let's go through the agenda the way it is. We can schedule the meeting at the end. That's a part of B. Let's go A, which would be the agenda, please.
Okay. if you want to
Thanks.
go away. We're not going through presentations and public hearings and citizen participation again. We already done that. So that was a little redundant, right? Yeah. So approval of the minutes from October 21st, 2024.
So move. Support. She wasn't here. Was she over here?
No, I was not.
Right. She wasn't here.
Okay. Excuse me, all in favor of approving the minutes from October 21st, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That takes us down to reports, consent agenda. So we will consolidate B 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Does anybody want to pull one out?
Yes, I want to pull the supervisor's report out. I want to pull out the Parks and Rec report, the clerk's report, the treasurer's investment report, and the controller's report.
Okay. Well, I didn't have a report.
Yes, that's right.
Not
The supervisor,
required.
so let's talk about that. The supervisor never has a written report. It's important for the citizenry to have a supervisor's report. If I were the people, and I will be on that.
Please speak in your mic.
I will. We need to have a supervisor's report that tells the truth, that lets people know what's going on, so that people, if they have questions, they can question you. We need a supervisor who's going to be here, a supervisor who comes to work every day. We pay this position $104,000. Emily, I expect to see you here every day, and I will be here and I will make that accountable. Our current supervisor does not do that. He has all kinds of reasons. Maybe he's in his cottage in Canada looking for, you'll hear about this in another report about some of his emails that talk about his house in Canada. Anyway, we did not ever have very many supervisors reports. So I just want to make that clear. And Emily, I hope that you provide written supervisors reports to us. Thank you. As far as the liaison report for Parks and Recreation, I'd like to pull that report out. Mainly what I want to say is that the Parks and Recreation has done a phenomenal job for our community. We have the Dicksboro Green, we have rock property, and we have some other property that's being added, the birds, I don't know what that bird song. I was hearing rumors that, or not rumors, I heard this at the Parks and Rec Commission, that Ken Schwartz said that the Dicksboro Green is not a Superior Township park. We need to address that. The Parks and Recreation Department bought the Dicksboro Green, and if you look at the Public Act, any land that the township owns that has recreation on it is a public park. So I would address that and make sure that we state that. This is the first park that we have on north of Getty's. We have Cherry Hill Nature Preserve, but we also have a park now. I'd like to see a sign on the Dicksboro Green that says that it's our park. With regard to the clerk's report, I know that Lynette, you had to update it for some reason, and I honestly have not read what you updated. So can you tell us what
They
you
found it. Well,
Where you at? What number?
it's on page 82 of 316. I'm sorry, the agenda isn't tabbed. Christina did a great job in preparing for this meeting. Landis has been out ill. So I was approached like a couple of days before the elections, which was a crazy time, by this organization called FIRE, which stands for Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. And I'm pretty sure, because the email is attached in here, the person who submitted my name to this organization is associated with the Ann Arbor Independent, who has constantly attacked many Black officials and leaders unfairly without doing her due diligence as a reporter herself, which I hope it stops, and I hope she does not put my name in another one of her correspondences without fact checking with me. But anyway, she more than likely submitted a complaint. And in that complaint, it's exactly what she emailed me about. And I refused to respond to her, because if you're a Black and a leader in Washtenaw County, you know not to respond to her, because she won't stop. She'll find something else to egg you on. So I did not respond to her. So therefore, she must have submitted me to this organization, and because it was the exact same concern. And the concern is that supposedly I did not let people coming into Precinct 5 know about the literature that was being openly, that's all I did. In my writing, I did not put the word openly. But I know, and all my election inspectors know, to say if people are bringing campaign literature openly into a township hall where others can have access to it, it is illegal. They can put it in their purse, they can put it in their pocket, they can do anything. They just can't openly. So I responded to this organization. I said, oh, I'm so sorry, because she quoted that exact same thing that PD Lasco, she says I don't spell her name right, quoted, which is, I let someone come in and they can bring literature in as long as it's concealed. That's true. So I responded to her and let her know that I just did not use the word open. It was very, I mean, she did not have a concern about any other issue I had in that clerk's update. And I included it again because I encourage you as a community leader, community resident, or anyone else to go back and read that clerk's update, because a lot of it is coming to fruition that I put at the end of that update. And the bottom line is all I had to do is just correct that update by using the word open. So simple. There was not one concern about any other thing in that clerk's update, which is quite amazing to me. So I had to put it on the record because she said to me in an email, please go back. And once this meeting is over, I corrected it. You okay? I corrected it. So once I corrected it, it'll be fine. So that's the answer.
Well, thank you. All right, for the treasurer's investment report, I totally agree with what.
You got to bring the mic closer or speak into it, please.
Okay. It's on page 90, starts with 97. Since I've been on the board, I have been asking repeatedly for us to sweep accounts on our cash to make sure that we're protecting all of the township's cash. That hasn't completely happened yet. Lisa's moving in the right direction as far as her investments, but we have millions of dollars that are not protected. This is not rocket science. Again, the other day I talked about Pittsfield Township being one of our, like a prime example for us. They run their township in a professional manner with great transparency and accountability. Many townships have sweeping funds. If we don't know how to do this, we have an auditor who has talked to us about it. It does not cost us that much. In the current year, if you look at the investment report, we're earning a lot of interest because the interest right now is on your accounts. You should be earning more interest. 5% is not uncommon right now. We're losing money that we could be spending on things like car. I see that there's a new vehicle in the budget. You could have bought a new vehicle with some of this money. There's no reason not to invest it. We need competent people on staff that know how to do it. And it doesn't mean that the treasurer has to be the one that does it. You can hire someone who knows how to do this. This is, again, it's not rocket science. If you look at the first or page 97, there's a CD, for instance, and that's not sweeping, that's not really a sweeping account item, but we earned $40,000 on that this year. That's great. There's no reason to not earn more when we have the ability in this country right now and with the banking system. I will be here at every meeting that I can, and I will bring this up every time. I'm sure Ms. Mohammed will do the same. Anybody that knows anything about interest rates, we're going to do it until it happens. So it's going to be ad nauseum, but I'll still be on that side of I'll be here on that side of the table. I like representing our people. I trust that we're going to do a better job, and we'll be here. Okay, as far as the controller's report, is the controller online?
No.
Okay, so this is another example of this guy who is in Florida. And again, it's not about his ability to do the job. It's him not being available to do the job correctly. There were a lot of things in the budget that I'm going to ask about, and he worked with Ken on this budget. I'll be at the next meeting doing that. We should have a controller here. We should not have someone who is 1,000 or 1,500 miles away. That's just not right for our township. What I'm told, and I have been told in the past, is that Keith knows where the bones are buried. What the heck is that supposed to mean to people? Maybe he has history, but you have many competent people in our county, in our township, CPAs who could come and do a good job. Why are we not doing this? We were told all along this year that Keith would be resigning in November. Keith resigned twice before, but the board brought him back. Lisa was very complimentary of him. I can tell you that in the past, it wasn't always that way from him to her, from what he would tell us. We have someone, again, who's far away, who's not here, who doesn't support the staff. They think that he does, but he doesn't, or he hasn't. And why start a new administration with someone who you could get your own people here and be done with it? With his controller's report, let's look at that right now. And that is on page 110. All right, he's talking about the proposed budgets. At the non-meeting that we had on Monday, where it was orchestrated to not have a quorum, we couldn't get all of our comments on the record. So I'm going to say a few things here. When you look at Keith's controller's report and you look at the proposed budget, he's only providing you a picture of probably what the supervisor wanted you to know. He doesn't tell the whole picture of, he calls it legacy costs for ongoing salary costs. There are quite a few positions in the new budget that are new, they're new, and they're going to be ongoing. In fact, I did a spreadsheet. It was over 200,000 added. When I'm talking about added, that's the difference between what was in the budget and what they added to create positions. So that's not even the total salary amount. So there's over 200,000 in legacy funds. That's what they're called, legacy expenses. That just means ongoing. That aren't even included in this report. They only wanted to show you what the clerk and treasurer and trustee positions accounted for when we increased the trustee, supervisor, clerk, and treasurer's salaries last year. They wanted to tell you that because that bothered them that we did it in December without a public hearing. You don't have to have a public hearing on when you do your salaries. I'll be here for that. They were increased to be comparable to Scioto Township. I provided Superior Township with a spreadsheet I did showing you what Scioto Township has, Pittsfield Township, Ypsi Township, Superior, and Plymouth Township. Our population is more like Scioto Township. That's why we did it. Our people deserve it. At least our treasurer and our clerk and our trustees who work deserve it. Hopefully, Emily, you will show us that you're deserving of it too. I would not say that about our current supervisor. I won't do that, but he's going to be done in an hour, and that's great. So in the controller's report, Keith also cited the amounts that we're paying for the increases in the utilities department personnel. As I said on Monday, Ken Schwartz liked to say that Rhonda and I promised those utility people increases. We never did. I would never do that. As an executive at Eastern Michigan, when I worked there, and as an accountant, I would never promise anything to anybody like that. We have 7 people. It's just an example of when the past supervisor, soon to be past supervisor, would tell people things just to make it sound like we were bad and we were doing this stuff. Never happened, never happened. And if you look at anything in the minutes or any of the work I've done, you'll see that I'm true to my word. Anyway, in this controller's report, there's utility amounts that amount to $65,500. And Keith alludes to those amounts being rolled up in the general fund. They are not part of the general fund. Utilities fund sits alone. It's like a business. It's called, you can call it an enterprise fund or a proprietary fund. It takes in fees from the people that have sewers and water, and then it services those people. You can't combine the funds. So when utilities is asking for a raise, they have the funds to pay for that raise. Those raises that they got were not that much when you compare it to other townships. They didn't go above what the other townships pay. These people are doing the same type of work as the other townships. It's not fair to not pay them when you look at on the general fund, when we want to have a new staff. I saw that the ordinance position, that's over like, what is that, $90,000? We'll talk about that next time, but we don't blink an eye when it's some other, non-utility or non-parks. It's like, just go ahead and approve it. Please, you guys, and we'll be here in December, look at the Parks and Recreation increase of 0.9 FTE. It doesn't cost that much. This is for programming, mostly for families and children. And there were great programs that were offered by private nonprofits this year as a result of the great ARPA funding that we received from the federal government, where the feds said that they wanted us to focus that money in the more disadvantaged areas. And that would be in our county, Sycamore Meadows, MacArthur Boulevard, that area. We did what the federal government told us to do, period. So I hope that going forward, you look really closely at the requests for Parks and Rec and compare that to what you're asking for the budget. We have over $1.6 million in undesignated reserves in the general fund. We didn't blink an eye last year when Ken brought proposals for the non-motorized pathways in my community, my neighborhood, Dixboro, which was $750,000. That we didn't blink an eye taking that out of our funds. But then when we talk about programming for families and kids that might, we're enhancing their budget by about $105,000. We're like, oh no, we can't do that. Yes, you can. And I'm going to be over there promoting that. So that's it. Thank you very much for letting me talk.
I think, does anybody want to respond?
No, I just have a couple, and I want us to be cognizant of the time. We should be out definitely, including where we're able to finish the entire agenda. But I do want to comment that as it relates to our controller, when he created the budget, I was never consulted. And that was the first time in 8 years I was not consulted. Instead, he worked the budget out for the clerk's area with Ken. And to my surprise, a position was left out, a critical position that was permanent. And he was told by several people that that was a permanent position, which is Christina Rankins. It's called the clerk assistant position. That's a permanent position. And I had to basically, I'll say ask, to be nice, him to put that position back in. So watch your budgets. That should not have ever occurred. And he led the entire budget process. So I totally agree with him.
I just want to say $750,000 for the path in Dixboro. We're only paying a couple $100,000 at the most.
A couple $100,000.
Well, you voted for it too.
You're right. You're right.
Because it was demanded, just like we paid $300,000 or $400,000 for the Prospect Road path.
Mhm.
We're going to be paying more next year, which I budgeted for, so we can put a path in to get the kids to the elementary school at South Point Scholars.
Can you say you budgeted for it? You didn't.
80% of that money comes from SIMCOG, the county or the state. If we want that money, we have to match it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great, Ken, but I'm just talking about how much. The 750,000 in Plymouth, was nothing compared to the 300,000 in MacArthur.
That money came from the state and the county. you know.
Ken,
why-
there you go again. I know, like even you know what? It's okay. It's okay. And if you
then-
want to talk more about other things, go ahead.
The only other issues, I did not have a problem with people getting raises. What I had a problem with is that there was never notice to the public that these salary increases were going to.
Are you
be
talking about the
considered.
officials and the trustees?
I'm
What are you talking about?
All of them. So
You have,
now it's my
You don't
turn.
have to have a notice.
And that was my issue with this board, was that too many substantive motions were made without any notice to the public. The only people who knew were people sitting in this room.
and let me
That
tell
was
you,
my big objection.
and I will,
Just address that.
okay,
Diane.
I will. We have a process, you'll have a process called amending the budget. It's in, the state allows it. Anytime we amended the budget, there were plenty of times that Ken also amended the budget mid-year. I could go back, I can't right now, I could go back and share those with you. Same thing, when you amend the budget, there was no public hearing. I can give you an example of the Rock property here. You know, the Rock property is going to cost us $190,000 in 2025. If you look at past year, when we first approved it, I remember Ken saying something like, "Oh, it's going to be like 110,000 a year. It's the cost of a sheriff's person." Well, actually, it was never 110,000 a year, because interest was, you were talking about probably principal, not interest. When you added the interest on it, like early on, it was higher than that. It was probably closer to 200,000. So when the budget was made, there were times where only the principal was in the budget, let's say 110,000, and we left out 50. When we amended the budget, did we have a public hearing to tell the people, oh my gosh, we left out
Not need to
50,000?
Have a public hearing to amend the budget, but
That's
when
her
you
point
are
she's
increasing
making.
salaries.
Ken, you've done that many times too. You've done it many
You've
times
increased
over 4
salaries many
years,
times. So let's,
I always brought it to the board
no, you
in the
wouldn't.
form of a resolution.
but
No,
not
you
in the
didn't.
form of a public
Yeah.
hearing, and it was resolutions when we did it. Just as a, I
Right,
just
no,
want
I'm
to,
calling
no,
it to order.
I-
We're moving
oh,
on.
okay,
Let's just
that's
move
all
on.
right.
Do you have anything you want to say under communication?
No, it's been accepted. Please report.
So that takes us to unfinished business.
No, you have to approve the consent agenda.
All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That takes us to the ordinance officer job posting. Can I get a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Can I get support? Okay, it dies for a lack of support. Supervisors should not be supporting. Resolution
See,
C, right. This is resolution 2024-60, reporting reporting of township controller to township clerk. Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
support.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'd like to, I didn't say anything, and I would like to say something about
Comment.
this.
Yeah, Gotta ask
Oh,
about,
sorry.
I want to know why we have to have a resolution,
to make sure it happens. I know that's
but
sad.
it's in the state law.
I know that.
So what, even if we don't have a resolution, I want to say that the clerk position should always have finances reporting to the clerk. If you look at the red book, or if you see what the duties are of a clerk, that is standard. There was some kind of
Politics.
politics, or why it went to the supervisor the last 8 years is beyond me. It doesn't make sense. I know, Angie, you're in the audience. That is a duty of the clerk. You have the ability to hire people who can make sure that your finances are in order. It would be really good to be back in the clerk, because it's a great check and balance on what goes on. But I don't
And just as a quick point of order on that, I was approached close to the end of my term prior to a critical, crazy election to, even by the controller, to assume the responsibility of that. And it was way too late for me to do that at the very end when people were doing other things with that budget. So at that point in time, it was too late.
To answer your question, why there is a resolution, because in 2015 or 16, I can't remember, when we created the position of controller, it was put under the supervisor at that time. For whatever reason, the clerk at that time didn't object, and that's just the way it was. So we're having a resolution now.
2015, 2015?
Or 16.
No, it wasn't 16. Because I have comments from people who told me why they prefer to not report to me. So we're done. That's my point. But it was done right before I got here.
No. It was done in April of that year, way before even
Okay.
anybody had filed.
We can.
And in
not
any
deal with
event,
that
it's
either.
really great to be back
Right.
where it should be.
So the next one.
We took a vote on that, didn't we?
I think you have to take a vote on it.
No, Christina, did we take a vote on?
No, we didn't.
Okay, so is there a motion and support?
We already did the motion and
All right,
support.
so all in favor of resolution 60, say aye.
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 Okay. That takes us to resolution 61, and this is approve the purchase of the fire nozzles and appliances using FEMA Assistance to Firefighter Grant Funds. Chief, you're here. You want to talk about that at all?
In my memo to the board, on July 8th, we received the award for the FEMA grant for 2023 for nozzles and appliance. This was a regional grant involving Pittsfield Township, Northfield Township, and Belleville City. The total amount of the grant was $156,401. The federal share is $142,182.72. The 10% match for the fire departments is $14,218.28. The bids were sent out on BidNet and on Bid Direct. 2 bids were received on the 30th of October at 3 p.m. The bids were opened by myself and Nancy Mason. The bids were reviewed on October 31st. The amount of the following bid was listed. McQueen, which is out of St. Paul, Minnesota. Bid came in as $101,311. Municipal Emergency Service, MES. The bid for them came in at $175.57. I'd like to note that McQueen's bid was 20% cheaper because they receive a factory discount. With that being said, I'd like to request of the board that we go ahead and approve and make the resolution to purchase nozzles and appliances as listed in the bid packet.
So moved.
Support.
Any questions from the chief? It's good work, chief. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
I'd like to note also that there's like $50,000 left over that's unused out of this grant. So I'll be coming back to the board with additional equipment to be approved to use up that grant money.
All right. Thanks, chief.
Thank you.
Next resolution is 2024-62, allocate the remaining ARPA funds to Washtenaw County to be used for the creation, construction of a community center / recreation center on Clark Road.
Move the motion.
Support.
Let's take a roll call.
Caviston, absent. Linky,
Yes.
McGill, absent. Seacrest, absent. Schwartz,
Yes.
Finley, yes. Lisa Lewis,
Yes.
it's unanimous.
All right, so F is Hope Clinic. Who's?
That's Lisa. Ask for that to be put on. The Hope Clinic.
It's just an insert that's actually on the front door where we're collecting food and blankets. And it's been an annual ongoing initiate probably for the last 4 to 5 years, started before I got here, and I just wanted to keep it going.
Mhm.
So it's in the board packet. Anybody have any new blankets to donate, please bring them up. If you have any unperishable food, it must be unperishable food, and you can bring it up, and then our front offices, front areas where it can be left. Thank you.
So if there's no objection from the board, I'd like to just move to set the public hearing and then come back and we'll
Sure.
put right up at G. Is that okay?
Mhm.
No objection? Okay. So, can I get a motion? Set the public hearing on the truth and taxation and public budget.
So moved.
Support.
And that is for December 13th, which is, I think, Friday the 13th.
It is.
Will this be?
Can't ask for that date.
I did. You know.
Will this be an evening meeting?
Well, let me make this comment. It should be a meeting where the public can attend. And just for the record, I must say that the only reason this meeting was changed to 10:30 a.m. today is this will be the last meeting of this particular board. We do recognize that the public is not able to attend, but they need to understand the urgency of getting certain things completed prior to this board leaving at 12 noon today.
We should set a time on.
Yeah, you need to do that. You all need to do that.
Well, let's set the time now. So that's a Friday. It's the public hearing on the budget.
I wouldn't do it before 5. Yeah, 6:30, 6:30, 5:30, 6:30, just
You know,
5:30.
people.
Give people time to.
So we'll set it.
I have a conference. I won't be here. I'll be at a conference.
You'll be at a conference.
Yeah, when I leave work, I'll be going out of town, so I won't be here on December 13th.
Okay, all right. So the motion that was approved is for Friday, the 13th at 5:30 PM for the public hearing, on the budget, and the truth and taxation hearing. Okay. Now we can go back to outgoing board members' comments, 3 minutes. Who wants to go first?
Can you read, and you're not, we don't hear the mic, Chris, there you go. Thank you.
No.
No,
Is it red?
Maybe you could sit at Rhonda's.
but just sit there and read it real quick. We give you permission.
Did she want it read into the?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Dear Superior Township residents, as my 4 years as trustee, still on?
Thank you, Lisa.
Oh my goodness, sorry. Dear Superior Township residents, as my 4 years as trustee for Superior Township come to a close, I want to express my sincere gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community. It's been an honor and a privilege to work on your behalf to address your needs and shape the future of our township. During my time as trustee, I have strived to uphold the values of transparency, accountability, and responsible governance. I've actively participated in discussions and decisions that have impacted our community, always keeping the best interests of our residents at heart. Thank you to the board for the many robust discussions through the years, but mostly for the opportunity to shed light on ways in which we could do better. Although we may not always see eye to eye, your steadfast commitment to your position is respected. Governance was never meant to be easy. I am proud of the accomplishments we have achieved together, including getting additional programs to serve our youth through CLR and YAA. Support for our residents through the WISD parent cafes addressing programs to serve our youth, through the WISD parent and cafes, addressing the nutritional needs of our residents with the help of Clay Hill Farms and our collaboration with the Washtenaw County to break ground on what will soon be the Eastern Washtenaw Community and Recreation Center. I am also thankful to the residents who stood up and refused to take no for an answer and paving the way for the speed humps on Stevens Drive. I'm grateful for our many community partners and advocates who have served tirelessly to get things done in this community, which is so deserving. These achievements are also a testament to the collective effort and collaboration of our township board, staff, and a small peek into what we do when we work together. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the dedicated staff of Superior Township for your hard work in keeping your focus on not who's right, but what's right. Your input and feedback have been invaluable in guiding my decisions and actions as a trustee. I am grateful for the opportunity to have served, as you two are tireless contributors to the betterment of our community. While there is so much more to be done, and I'm saddened that I will not be a part of the process, I do take great pride in the fact that our community is alert, aware, and actively engaged in what is happening here in Town Hall. I am proud of the growth in numbers of residents that attend meetings and listen in on Zoom, because this is their community. I will continue to encourage more and more to get involved in the process. So this is my way of saying to the new board, do the right thing by the community, or you will hear our voices. As I move on from this role, I am hopeful that Superior Township will continue to thrive in my role as a resident. Do know I am watching, cheering, and will continue to be engaged to make sure that our leadership do the work on behalf of us all. I wish you all continued success and prosperity. Sincerely, Rhonda Petrie McGill, Trustee, Superior Township.
Well, I think that was a very respectful, thoughtful conclusion to her term, and I hope she does stay involved.
I'll go next. Dear Superior Township, Charter Township residents, it has been my pleasure to serve as your township clerk since 2016. The biggest joy was having the opportunity to meet so many of our residents, especially during the elections. I can say that during my tenure, there has been 1 year we were not involved in any elections. Working with so many dedicated election inspectors, which includes all workers, precinct co-chairs, chairs, AV count board members, and just as important, our Parks and Recreation staff that help us for 3 days setting up. Yeah, you should leave. I thank you all. My favorite time of the year was the election seasons, except for the 3 elections due to the politics that ensued. All in all, thank you to all the wonderful residents who I loved working and taking care of them through my role as a public servant. My commitment to you as a clerk when I ran in 2020 included some of the following: be ethical, loyal, dedicated, and honest, not allowing myself to stoop to anything which would take away from my integrity. I never used any vendors for my personal use, nor did I compromise my values by doing favors where I could personally benefit on the other end. Treat everyone with respect, regardless of their titles and backgrounds. Adhere to my main principles. 1, there are 2 sides to every story. 2, action speaks louder than words. And 3, do the right thing. Provide more resources to residents of Sycamore Meadows, Harvest Lane, Danbury Green, and other marginalized communities in the township to ensure needs are being addressed by elected officials. Continue to develop non-motorized trails in the interest of community recreation and safety. Maintain land preservation with responsible review and decision-making based on quality development, and revise and implement the master plan. I must say that I was able to accomplish all, and on top of that, led the initiative for the Rec and Community Center that's about to come to fruition. I believe with the support of several new board members that were appointed or elected in 2020, I was able to achieve my commitments to you. Instead of board member votes being dictated, several board members read their board package, took their responsibilities for you as residents seriously. This is when board meetings became longer, giving the appearance of dysfunctionality, when actually during this time, all residents' needs were being taken care of without sacrificing the needs and desires of others. For the first time, resources were provided to the south side of Gettys Road in abundance, an area that was not served during my first 4 years. For that, I thank board members, several board members who made that happen. We were not dysfunctional. We just stopped letting one person make all the decisions for the township, even though this person continued to make decisions without including the full board. So therefore, I make the following recommendations for the future. It is well known in Washtenaw County that people who are not actually Democrats run on this ticket because more than likely, this is the only way you can become an elected official in most municipalities in Washtenaw County. So I urge you, please do your homework on how your officials vote and what they do not vote for and what they do vote for. No one, be it an elected official or employee, should be allowed to be confronted with retaliation, racism, sexism, misogynism, or any other ism, including Jim Crowism, as a result of sharing their voice. Just do the right thing. As a Black woman and the first woman, am I reading the right one? Yeah. As a Black woman and the first Black woman clerk, I should not have ever been allowed to endure what I have endured during my 7 years. And it started once I exposed something that people did not agree with, which was illegal. Shouldn't have ever. And I have shared this with all levels of government, but we'll talk about that at a later point. All three officials should be included in all decisions in meetings with prospective vendors, services, et cetera, and then brought to the full attention of the board. And that's when people should vote, not one person going to talk to vendors or anyone else and then bringing it back to the board. The township vehicle should always have decals on it. No one should take the vehicle and use it for their personal use. The vehicle on several recent board agendas, it has been, and it is now in good condition with no more than 126,000 miles on it. It has a lot of life in it. Please take care of it. There's no need for a new vehicle. Finally, I was appalled by the celebration of pathways and this was done Monday, so I'm going to say last evening, but it was actually on Sunday evening. Not only did the current board members not receive an invitation, but county commissioners, Parks and Rec, who are also elected officials, community members were not included. Nowhere on the information provided did it say it was going to be ceremoniously swearing in. Perhaps we should have checked to see if such an event was held for the Getty's Prospect Road pathway. Were residents aware of this event? This type of behavior only demonstrates further that if you do not agree, attempts will be made to dismiss you and not include you. Please watch your resources because the votes may not be in the favor of residents who live in certain areas. It was demonstrated Sunday evening. Please take care. I will miss all of you, my staff and everyone. Thank you. Not everyone.
Do you have one?
He's not leaving.
He's leaving.
And by the way, I have the corrected one. I just got to say clearly real quick that I was walking in last Tuesday at 2:30 and Ken made the comment to me that, oh, we only have 8 days left. And I said, no, Ken, I have 8 days left. Okay. And his response was, no, I'll be in a different role. And I said, no, Ken, you'll still be in charge. His response verbatim was only for 1 year.
Okay, so I tend to agree with what she just said because she called me right after you said it, Ken. I know you always, this is what the gaslighting that you do. So sorry, I've got to call that out. Anyway, mine's very short. And I just want to say this. It has been my sincere pleasure in serving as trustee these past 4 years. I have enjoyed representing your interests and holding myself and others on the board accountable. I'm proud of the many accomplishments made during my term. We approved projects that included purchasing more open spaces for parks and recreation. We supported the community center and getting that going. I think that was one of the biggest accomplishments we actually made during this time. We opened a new library, not that this board actually did it during our 4 terms. They started it prior to our term, but it's really great to have a library in our area. We added programming and recreation activities and events for families. We supported rezoning the land for Garrett space. I think that's really important. That was a tough thing for our community, but thank goodness that that was done. And we completed non-motorized trails for our residents' use. Along with adding those speed bumps, a shout out to, is it Jerry Clifton or Jim?
Jerry.
Okay, Jerry came to this board so many times and asked for speed bumps and, said why he needed them or why they needed them, like maybe 8 years. It took Tanglewood, really this last year to get their speed bumps. So that's the disparity that people see and feel and witness. It's true. So I'm just so glad that that got moved. While a lot was accomplished, more needs to be done. I'm hopeful that the incoming board will be dedicated to making our township more vibrant, honor the resolutions that were approved, and continue to support our residents with excellent services and programmings. We really can be number one if we try, and there's a lot to do. I want to thank the staff. There are staff here that are very dedicated and helpful. Nancy Mason has been one. If I have any questions, and she probably got sick of me calling her, she's one. Chief, you've been so dedicated to the fire department and you've come here. The only times we had issues is things didn't follow, if things didn't follow the process, but you did amazing work. Allison, I want to just call out
Yes.
Allison
Yes.
in the township. She's not here, but Allison has the best customer service of anybody that I've ever, dealt with. She, I don't know what she was thinking, but boy, she was so nice to people. The parks, Juan knows, and I'm not just singing his praises, but he and the utilities folks, they're incredible. Juan is honest. He's forthright. If you ask a question and he doesn't know, which is kind of rare in, with the parks and recreation stuff, he'll find out, but he is always honest. And that's one of the most important qualities. You're being authentic and honest and being a good person over your staff. There are many others, that were great. And unfortunately, I didn't really know the treasurer's staff, Lisa, but they were always kind to me. I'm just, you got a good staff. You have some very decent, hardworking people. And I hope you lead them well. Anyway, thank you all and best wishes for a great life in Superior Township.
And I agree with what Bernice said about the staff, especially all of them, including Nancy. Angie, if you need someone to temporarily do the work, just add some more money to her budget. Nancy does all of what Keith does, all. Okay, all. She's the one that's doing the report. So don't be fooled. So I had to put that plug in, Nancy, and because it's true. And Chief, you and your staff have been outstanding. I just ran across when I was collecting all my material accommodation you got from residents, and I'm gonna leave that with Angie because those type of things are very important. You all are very friendly, outright, and just do whatever is needed. And Juan, you and your staff, elections, I can't believe how well they are and how much they support the elections. It's been since 2020 that Parks and Rec, as she said, receives and are doing such a great job with programming. That did not exist before. I look up, there's a program all the time. Those ARPA funds have run dry. I'm a chair of one of the committees that want to take out, one of the nonprofits that want to take out the funds for what we do at Fireman's Park, and I refuse to allow that to happen. So they have dried up, and we cannot allow that to continue. And I hope that programming in abundance, other than what's at the community center, rec community center, I hope that you continue, and I hope that your staff do become full-time because they're needed.
Thank you.
She's continuing.
Bye for the.
She did.
I'll just say a few things. Being a supervisor for the last 11 years, it's been great. I practiced law for 30 years before that. It was great. I'm probably going to go back and do that in the future. I can agree with everything that's been said about the staff. Got a fantastic workforce here. I've always said that. I think everybody that is in a position here knows their job. and does it diligently. I would like to thank the citizens because I made so much contact, and Emily will be the same way, is that they always come in to see the supervisor generally because if it's voting, they go to the clerk, paperwork to the clerk, the treasurer gets the taxes, but all the other stuff that spills over will go to the supervisor. And I had a lot of pleasant conversations with people who are upset about this or that. The only other thing is I'm grateful that the people elected me to be a trustee, so I'll be stepping down, but I'll still be on the board. And I just want to address the so-called affair the other day, Sunday. My understanding is Township had nothing to do with that. And that was a private affair that was created by a business person in Dixon. That's my understanding.
We know about that, and regardless of, it shouldn't have continued. If you didn't have everybody there, they should have been sworn in. If you were ceremoniously swearing people in.
Okay. Bills for payment. Can I get a motion on the bills?
So moved.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pleas and petitions. There's anybody that has a plea and a petition?
Steph did, I just checked my, did you get that notice? She's texted or sent an email to the board saying that the chat wasn't on. Okay, thanks.
Yes. As Ken was going to say.
So I have two comments, both by Steph. The first one says, I have concerns that the township is attempting to force payment for Morris's unlicensed work by applying unpaid invoices for the sidewalk work as a special assessment to homeowners on their winter tax bill. The board has been contacted regarding this issue multiple times and has ignored it. Forcing payment in this fashion when it is abundantly clear the work performed was illegal will be wildly inappropriate and fraudulent. Homeowners have no obligation to pay for unlicensed work performed on their property, and special assessments can only be applied in conditions where they benefit a homeowner's property. Given the extreme liability homeowners have unknowingly incurred by this work installed on their property, this arguably does not provide them any benefit. Homeowners burdened by the township's actions could be sued for any injuries incurred by pedestrians that slip, trip, or fall on a faulty flag, and now they would have no insurance protection whatsoever. The next comment is also by Steph. It says, to date, no resolution has been provided to homeowners that have incurred property damage as a result of Morris Concrete Solutions operating uninsured on their property, nor has the liability homeowners incurred by having this unlicensed work unknowingly installed in a public right-of-way been addressed. Michigan law requires contractors to provide, as part of a contract, information relating to their company license and to any license issued to an individual qualifying officer. This is something the township should have a hand on. Having entered into a contract with this company prior to this contractor ever setting foot on a homeowner's property, and prior to the supervisor being able to claim he certified this contractor. Misrepresenting the contractor as having been certified is fraud, and the supervisor's involvement could be interpreted as aiding and abetting an unlicensed contractor. Multiple Michigan agencies are actively investigating this issue to ensure the township's compliance. That's the end of the comment.
Anybody else?
My name is Jan Weisman. I am the mayor of I just want to take a minute to thank the outgoing board members for your service, particularly trustees Lindsay and McGill. I think that the work that you've done and the work that you've promoted has been exemplary. I'd also like to encourage full-time positions that are recommended for the Parks and Rec. and the dedicated HR professional. These positions, especially the HR position, is needed for appropriate job descriptions, compensation reviews, and compensation reviews for new and existing jobs, as well as performance evaluations and other HR-related activities. There is a real need for this. And we also need to be moving forward much more up to date with our financial processes. This isn't a slam on any of the work that's been done in the HR or the financial areas in the past, but if we don't really pay attention to these things, we're putting ourselves at legal risk for not doing things appropriately. It's really, really important. And in that line, I'd like to reiterate that a dedicated controller be hired. A new controller can find the bones. People know where to look. It's not something that only one person can do. So that's not a reason to keep the current person on. As I said, these topics and these positions noted above, they're not just nice to have, they're really, really needed. The days of being a small board in a small township are gone. The professionalism needs to be there from both a professional and legal necessity. I wish the new board coming in continued success, and I'm hopeful for increased transparency and civility with our upcoming board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Good afternoon, and Jan, I agree with everything you said. One of the things I would just like to express, because the board has talked about it for over a year, and that is the need for somebody, a personnel director. If you have a personnel director, you don't have one person dictating or employees dictating what their salary is going to be. If you have a personnel director, there's going to be a research. You're also going to have somebody who's qualified. Last year, the board agreed to a sexual harassment investigation. And the reason for that is because of an inappropriate email. And then everything did go to probably a special meeting where we don't know the results. However, when that email was done, I was one of the persons that was in the vehicle with the supervisor when one of the individuals who that inappropriate email was written to went after. That creates a hostile work environment. And had you had a personnel person here, that could have been dealt with differently. The reason I know something about this is because over 15 years, I taught sexual harassment prevention at UAW Chrysler National Training Center. I was also involved in investigations, so I know a little bit about inappropriate behavior. And we should not allow a person or persons to push things up under the rug, because how does that protect the employees? I've heard vitriol so much against certain employees, and I do have it on tape. And I just believe they become targets simply because somebody doesn't like what they're doing and they're trying to do their job. So I just hope, you know, the new board that's coming in will step back and assess. Again, this township is 15,000 people or plus, but we don't need to exist the way we do. We need to do things professionally. And one of those things is to start with somebody from personnel and to make this township accountable, for it to be transparent. When I talk about, and even Steph, when we talk with the sidewalks, why are we consistently protecting a contractor? Every time I get up here, it's about residents. It's not about protecting a contractor, and a contractor that is working illegally, that has, let me say it again, committed fraud. $17,000 for one house, 3 flags were replaced, multiple duplicate charges, multiple. We paid them for work that wasn't done. Nancy didn't pay for the $17,000 because I caught it. Then I decided to go walk and inspect everything. Why wasn't that heard? I just want them to know, Ken, they have a right to know. Bottom line, that is it. I hope that the new board, I do wish you success. Finally, I love you. I don't have to say what you did. I don't have to tell you what you did because you already know what you did. You can leave here and know that your job was well done and you're in God's favor. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to make a plea or petition?
I have one last one. And that is, when Steph will continue to come here and it sounds like, every meeting that we've been at probably for the last year, she and Irma come and talk about Morris Concrete. We've discussed it here. We tried to cancel the contract when at a special meeting and weren't allowed by the board. What I want Steph to know, and Irma and others, is that the board has been advised multiple times that we can't do anything about this. Whenever it's legal, that it's in, it's with Fred Lucas, and that we're supposed to kind of be silent on it. So I'm not saying what my opinion is, but I'm telling you what we've been told many times. When we get emails from you, we can't respond, or we shouldn't, they can't. If we wanted to, I suppose we could, but we're doing it from a legal basis that we're not supposed to do that. For the new board members coming in, I think you have to get your information from whatever lawsuits are out there to understand what's going on. I think you may be getting something in December to try to make resolution of the overpayment, or not. It wasn't an overpayment. It was a mispayment to the developer who received $100,000. You may be getting something that's probably already in the works. I've seen some things on that. You better be real aware of what you're doing. Look back and see the whole sequence of events and ask yourself why. When you hear aid and abetting, why was that allowed to happen? Why weren't any consequences given to that developer? I think you really need to dig into it, because there's something there. Anyway, that's it. And I'm sorry, Steph, if you're online, that's why we're not answering, because we're told that we're not supposed to do that. Hopefully the next board will be able to do something about it. But I'm with you.
All right, so I just want to address what you just stated. As far as Steph's sidewalks go, she has complained about them.
I don't
and
think she's just talking about her sidewalks.
Everybody's.
She's not just talking about hers.
I did send OHM out. They did a report and I did send it to her. As far as claims, we've had 0 claims on sidewalks. We have not had one claim come in, because if we did, we'd send it to our insurance company.
Well, let's just see what happens in the future, Ken. But we'll be on the other side helping these guys.
And as far as that email goes, we spent 36.
Which email are you talking about?
The one that was supposedly sexual.
Do you want me to tell you what Keith?
Please
Lockheed
don't
told
go
me?
there,
Don't go
Ken,
there.
because I would have to
Don't go
expose
there.
some things publicly.
Yeah, don't
Don't
go
mention
there.
the sexual harassment,
Yeah, I wouldn't go there, Ken, because I
will
openly
mention
say-
things publicly. So don't go there.
Yeah, I will openly say what.
Trust me, you don't want to go
what
there.
I-
Keith, the guy you want to get rid of? All right. so
He
let's
is
get-
not
let's
the
get
guy
a
I want to
motion
get rid of.
adjourn.
So move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
May I see you for a moment, please?
Lisa?
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
at noon, Angie's gonna swear you. Sworn.
Hi. I emailed you yesterday. It might have went to your spam folder, so can you check that, please? It would have come from my email.
Christina?
That's the one I got from Nancy. All I know is that it's a US email, but it might have gone to your spam folder. Because, yeah, so I sent it yesterday. And I sent it in the morning, even though I said afternoon. I think I thought it was already afternoon, but it was not quite afternoon yet. It was about 5 minutes before afternoon. when I sent it. Get it? Spam or junk mail, one of the two. I don't know which it would have been in.
Yeah, I'm looking at the spam here. I'm not seeing anything.
Okay. And it's just some Unish that Nancy would have given me, whatever, because I guess whatever email you provided her, she gave it to me. And that was yesterday? That might have been it. That might have been it.
No, I said from Saturday.
Oh, okay, because I'm like, yeah, because I remember saying good afternoon, but it was really, then I realized that, I was like, it's not afternoon yet. Okay, but I'll try and send it again then. Just, the photographer's name and just, just logistics about the
Okay.
photographer, what legal name you
For like
want
our
and all that
headshots
kind
and
of stuff.
stuff?
Yeah,
Okay,
and it
okay.
was just giving you all of her information.
Okay,
And
okay.
so I'll try and send it again
Sure.
then.
You want me to, it's the green junior at UMSID, that's what we got.
I think whatever email that Nancy gave me, and I can't say what it is, not offhand, I just know it was something you missed.
Okay, yeah, that should be.
Yeah, and so what I did is I just clicked on it and I sent it, because I sent it to both you and
Derek.
Angie. And Angie, she checked hers today and she said it had gone to her spam.
Okay, I'll check again when I get to my laptop.
Oh, okay, and sometimes, yeah, and sometimes, and then it might be in here too, that sometimes it doesn't always, yeah, so, okay.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Of course, not a problem at all. I wanted to make sure you had that, yeah, absolutely, yeah, so, yeah. Oh, well, like I said, my eye is still red. Like I said, and my eye is still red. So I know, and it's just my left eye. It is, but it was redder than this in the last 2 days. So yeah. I'm going to bust out.
Your deputy is here.
How are you? No, I don't know if I've met her before.
But I didn't get emails back saying I'll be there or not that, so. Yeah, we got to do it by. Our meeting.
That's right.
So are they setting you up with touch emails? Supposedly, I just emailed me, I think Lisa, if you send that. Okay. Oh, they have like. Oh, yeah.
No. Hmm?